This is news today. Now, Member of Parliament for Ikuapem South, Osei Bunsu Amwa, says the NDC-led administration's management of the economy and Ghana's resources generally has led to the worsening of the economic situation and has brought untold hardships onto the Ghanaian. Speaking at the Obra Sport here in Accra during the Alliance for Accountable Governance Agbewo demonstration, he noted only pressure from the populace will bring will make a turnaround with government.
The theme is Agbewo. Agbewo means they are killing us. And of course, it's symbolic. And if somebody is killing you, you have to scream, otherwise you die. And if you look at how the country is being run, in every sector, every aspect, there are problems. If it's education, if it's health, if it's utilities, if it's pension, anything that you can think of, things are not being run well. So this is the right time and the right call. So if they are saying that they are killing us, we should also join in telling the whole world that indeed we are dying. And if we are dying and we don't scream, they will kill us. They will be dead. We are now in a society where only a tiny majority and minority, they feel comfortable. The rest, a huge majority, are suffering. And you cannot build a society this way. If the majority is suffering, that means there's a problem in the society. If you look at the uprisings across the world, this is how they start. Because they think that it's only a few who are comfortable in the society. So if the society should collapse, they couldn't be bothered. It's because the majority will rise up and then take on the minority. That's not what we want in this country. And we should not keep quiet for everything to collapse before we all start saying what went wrong. Things are not being done well, and we have to speak up. And this is a call to everybody to speak up. It's not good enough for some of us only to sit in Parliament and say that this is our say. And they will tell you, you can have your say, we'll have our way. Sometimes the rest of the society should also join us and demonstrate to the whole world that things are not being run well. So I believe in their call. That's why I'm here to support them.
Okay, now you just made a point about an uprising, happening elsewhere. Now, with the picture you've just painted of our economy, if things should continue in this, line, do we expect to have an uprising in this country as well?
No, nobody is wishing for it. Nobody is wishing for uprising because if for any reason this democratic dispensation should collapse, all of us will be in trouble because some of us fought against military dictatorship for us to be in this democracy. But if we don't protect it, if we don't do the right things to protect this democracy, it will collapse and then people will come back and suppress us. That's why I'm saying that it's a major call that all of us should rise up so that we don't get to that stage where an adventurer will get up and say that because everything is going haywire, I've taken over. And when it takes over, you will not be standing here to even interview me. Because if I speak against that government will come after me and will come after you. So it's the democracy that we have to protect. And we can only protect the democracy if the right things are done by the government in power. If you are government in power and don't do the right things, we are building the grounds and the foundation for anybody to take up and then to rise up and say that he's taking over this country and to not help anybody. So it's not only a few people who should be in this fight. All of us should be in this fight. If you heard the majority leader, Abamabin, talking, he was saying that our democracy is in crisis. It's in crisis because things are not being run well. If things were run well, why would anybody be here? Young people, they can't go to school. The few who can finish school, they can't get any job to do. I always say that even people are not able to marry. People cannot marry. The few can even give birth. They cannot look after their children. What kind of society is this? If you're not careful, those who claim that they are rich, the poor will attack them. Is it the society we want? And every day people hear of embezzlement, corruption, the way they do things. So nobody has a stake in this business. They think that democracy is for a few people. As for us, we are not part of democracy. So it should collapse. It should die. And if it dies, all of us are in trouble. That's why we should be speaking every day to make sure that they do the right thing so that everybody will survive in this system.
So what do you expect AFAC to do something different apart from organizing demonstration? Do you expect AFAC to come out with?
Well, knowing AFAC, they've organized symposia, they've organized street walk, they have various
more from Latif Idrisu, who's joined me over the telephone. Hello, Latif. Hello, Latif. Hello. Where are you at the moment?
Right now we are at Makola.
What can you report from there?
Hello, can you repeat that?
What can you report from there?
Yeah, you know, the whole demonstration started peacefully at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, and we had speeches from leading members of the MPP and APAG as well. And then from there we moved on to some of the principal streets in Accra. And we got to Rollins Park, where the General Secretary of the NPP, the chairman of the NPP as well, and some high-ranking figures in the NPP speeches, all directing to the fact that the economic situation in Ghana here is nerve-dangling, and that they are calling for the masses to support their call and ensure that this administration is booted out of power come 2016. And also, at the point, we almost had some skirmishes between the police and the demonstrators, because prior to the demonstration, they gave the route which they were going to use. But then we got to a point where the demonstrators tried to use an unapproved route, and the police tried to put them on track, and it almost, resulted in some kind of skirmishes. But then the police acted in a very professional manner by letting it go, and so
which
turned out to be peaceful.
Which is the approved route, and which one did the?
Hello, Kimani.
I'm asking that which is the approved route that they should have gone by, that they did not want to go by, the demonstrators did not want to go by.
Hello, could you please repeat that? It's very noisy here.
I'm asking that you tell us the routes, the original routes they should have gone by, that they almost didn't go by.
Hello?
Well, I think he's having challenges here, and we should engage him later in the broadcast, but we can now move on to something else. Campaign coordinator of the Integrative Social Development Center, Dr. Steve Mantia, is calling for a quick passage of the Right to Information Bill to ensure access to information on management of Ghana's natural resources. He was speaking at an event by Right to Information Campaign Coalition here in Accra.
In recent times, we've had some contracts passed by Parliament. A number of these block assignments were passed under certificate of urgency. And it leaves a lot of us wondering as to what has happened in this country that warrants the quick sale and approvals of oil blocks. But when you juxtapose that against the fact that we are in the process of passing a petroleum exploration and production bill, which, if passed, will commit this country to open competitive bidding as against the negotiated deal type arrangement that we have, then you can only conjecture that the certificate of urgency passage or approval of some of these contracts is a deliberate step to escape that particular bill which is in the offing. Again, a bigger worry we have is the fact that there is non-disclosure of beneficial owners of these blocks, and therefore provides the cover for fronting as well as rent seeking. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have issues of lack of adequate information on how we manage the environmental fallouts of natural resource extraction. Usually the law requires that the proponent of the project will undertake an environmental and social impact assessment, following which the proponent will develop an environmental management plan. The environmental and social impact assessment is usually subjected, and that's a requirement of the law, to public hearing. But because of lack of information to the host communities, the people who are likely to be affected by the project, a lot of these public hearings are reduced to assurances of job opportunities and how the particular natural resource project is going to transform lives overnight, adding to the factors of that create unrealistic expectations and which become recipes for future conflicts. But more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, many do not get to see the environmental management plan. They are not publicly shared. And so, even the affected communities are not in a position to ascertain whether the company is going by the environmental management plan. And given the human resource and capacity challenges that confront our regulatory agencies, it creates the opportunity for companies to get away with murder. Now, sometime this year, the Environmental Protection Agency approved for the Jubilee partners the flaring of 500 million cubic feet of gas every month till somewhere in October. But the fact is, we're not told what the mechanisms for monitoring the compliance with these dispensation was. And so, to date, citizens do not know whether the companies have actually fled just what they were required to fled or have fled more.
Kwabena Chenche Hene Boateng is over the telephone to give us an update on what has been going on. Hello, Kwabena.
Hello, Kennedy.
Now, Kwabena, what can you report?
Well, the program is still ongoing, but speeches from the two ministers for the day have ended. Many people are sharing their thoughts and suggestions for it so far. And we've actually heard from Dr. Akutuampao. He's actually a lawyer. From Mr. Akutuampao, I beg your pardon. He's a lawyer and also he's a long-standing member of the National Media Commission. He has been throwing some more light on the current situation with the bill as we speak. And the idea now is that there should be some amendments that need to be made to the bill as it stands now, since according to him there are a lot more restrictions in the bill. For instance, one thing he's saying is that the bill provides room, a leeway for instance, the presidency. So if you choose to write to the presidency to seek for clarity on one or two things, it just behoves on the secretary to the president to just write and say, you know what, these ones are exclusions. They can't be accessed, and it ends there. Not much can be done to get any such information. Both speakers have generally been speaking of the need for information across board. You know, most of the time is the notion out there is that the media are the people who really need the information. But the understanding here is that, in fact, for instance, if you do work for the AGI or any other company or any other institution, and you deem it necessary to get some answers from, say, Parliament on the amount of money that was spent on the chairs that were imported from wherever, it should be so easy for you to just walk in there, just demand for. I beg your pardon, just a second. Just walk in there and just demand for some answers, and it should be so easy. You should just get access to that in some few minutes. Again, they've also mentioned some other challenges that are associated with the current bill. Some other challenges are associated with the current bill with regards to the timelines that are in there. The timelines are too open and they are too vague. For instance, if you do apply for something, it might take up to 6 months to get information. By that time, probably the essence or relevance of that particular information might have been lost. So what they are calling for now is for an action to see to the fact that the amendments that are currently being proposed are fully backed and fully seconded and are made to actually.
Well, we have lost him. We lost Kwabena Chenche there, and we'll put in efforts to raise him again over the telephone. In the meantime, the acting director for JIDA, Kobi Echampo, has accused labor unions of using the least opportunity as a basis to go on strike. He says the unions have to resort to lay down procedures before embarking on strike.
Consistently seeing labor use every issue as a basis to go on strike, for me that is what is worrying, because there's a standard procedure to follow to call a strike in this country. I mean, if you go to the National Labour Commission, they'll tell you there's a standard procedure to follow. Most invariably, they ignore all these procedures and call a strike to the detriment of the collective number of Ghanaians available.
Let's do some business now. Inflation hit 16.9% in October, up from 16.5% in September 2014. It's the highest since March 2010. Let's find out more from Eric Curtis Howard, who was at the press conference for us. Eric, you're welcome to the program.
Hello, Kamini.
What contributed to the 16.9% recorded as inflation for the month of October?
Okay, Kamini, let me walk you down through the food and non-food group inflation. First of all, the food and non-alcoholic beverages group recorded a year-on-year inflation of 6.5%. This is a 0.7 percentage point higher than 5.8% recorded in September 2014. Now, three major food groups, coffee, tea, and cocoa, recorded the highest inflation rate of 20.2%, followed by meat and meat products, which came 19.0%. Then we had the minerals, soft drinks, and fruit, also recording 18%. Vegetables, obviously, recorded the lowest inflation rate for the month of October. That was minus 6.1%, which means that the price of vegetables on the market was relatively stable as compared to last month. And if you look at the non-food group, we had housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels. They recorded the highest inflation of 36%, followed by transport. The transport sector recorded 30.6% inflation. Then the health sector also recorded 18.6%. Education recorded the lowest. And when the government statistician was explaining, his explanation was the fact that for prices of educational prices, as the prices of the school fees and everything had not changed. Either it had increased substantially, it had not recorded any significant increase. So these were the major contributory factors to the rate of inflation for the month of October coming in.
And just clarify this for me. The highest contributor came from which sector?
Okay, the highest contributor for this month came from the non-food group sector. That is housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels. You know, we tend to use more. Electricity bills obviously has gone high. Water bills, housing, rent, and the gas that we use and everything had gone up. So it recorded the highest inflation of 36%, followed by the transport sector. Transport, as in fuel prices, the cost of transportation, it came second with 30.6%. Then followed by the health sector, which also came by 18.6%. Then, like I said earlier, for the food groups, meat and meat products, apart from the cocoa, coffee, and tea, the meat and the meat product recorded the next highest inflation of 19.0%. Then, like I told you, vegetables, the price of vegetables had virtually remained stable on the market.
Eric, thank you very much for that information. Eric Curtis Howard joined us with detail of the inflation recorded for the month of October. That is 16.9, up 4 basis points. But that also informs the policy rates. Today, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana that started its 62nd regular meeting, announced the new policy rate, pegging it at 21.2%, up from the 19% recorded earlier. While inflation has hit 16.9% from 16.5% as of September, the Monetary Policy Committee has also pegged the new policy rate at 21%. What are the implications for businesses and economic growth generally? John Gachi, Dr. John Gachi is a chartered economist and also lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School, and he's joined me over the telephone with perhaps an answer to that. John.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us here. What are the implications? So, first of all, are you surprised that it's gone up 21%?
Well, I was thinking they should have maintained it, but perhaps one also needs to accept the fact that the regulator has more broader information about the economy before coming out with the new policy rate. So I think we need to accept the policy rate and move forward.
What are the implications of this new policy rate? 21%.
Well, the first thing we will note is that it's a reflection of what has happened in the economy since the last Monetary Policy Committee meeting. Thereby reflecting in the new the rate. Of course, it sent a signal to the financial market in the sense that it's going to serve as a benchmark, especially if commercial banks respond to this new rate. It's going to serve as a benchmark as to how they are going to determine their base rate and as to how they determine their lending rate. So that possibility is what we should be looking at.
But going up 300 basis points means that it's very much likely that the lending rates, as you see them now, would go up.
That is the implication I'm talking about, that it sends a new base benchmark for setting the base rate and the lending rate in the commercial banks or financial institutions in the country.
Now, here's the question. Should it necessarily affect them? Just because the policy rate has gone up 19%, should it necessarily, it's gone up to 21%, should it necessarily mean that interest rate should go up?
Yes, so long as commercial banks can prove that they borrow money from the central bank at the 21% that has been announced, it means their cost of funding has gone up, and that would definitely have to reflect in the lending rate, unless commercial banks have more cheaper means of mobilizing funds for their financial intermediation. But if they take a sizable amount of their loanable funds from the central bank, then that would definitely affect the lending rate.
You look at inflation, the consumer price index has also gone up to 19. It's gone up to 16.9% from 16.5% for the month of October and September, respectively. My question is, we've seen the policy rate also go up gradually from when it was only 16%. Why do we see inflation also go up at the same time? I don't seem to find the correlation.
The correlation is very clear. Actually, we are practicing inflation targeting. Thereby, if inflation consistently goes up, it should trigger a response from upward adjustment in the policy rate. And I believe that is exactly what they have done. But I think what they have been doing in the previous time is that they do not only look at the upward movement in inflation, they also look at other key indicators in the economy to assess the general risk level for which they look at the premium that they should put in the in the interest rate. So the correlation is very correct. Inflation has gone up consistently. Therefore, interest rates should match up with the upward movement in inflation.
We'll leave it here for now, for the sake of time. Thank you very much, Dr. Gachi. Dr. John Gachi is a lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School. For more news, visit mindjoyonline.com. Thanks for your company. My name is Kimini Yamani Amano. Goodbye.